Hello, everybody, and welcome to the HCW UK Indy Review Show, kinda. I thought I'd get that in there. But yeah, we are here, myself and Ray. How are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing well. We've had a few technical difficulties for the recordings before this, and we're going live on Twitch straight after this. This video, I don't know, this will be out next Sunday, so we're recording Saturday the 29th.
Yeah. So video going out on Sunday, which means by the time we've gone live on Twitch, we'll have probably gone live tonight and next week before this video even comes out. So failing that, join us on the Friday or the Saturday after, and when this video comes out, we'll be going live again.
Wonderful.
But yeah, Ray, you attended the OTT show in Wolverhampton this last week. So if you want to run us down the card match by match and give us your thoughts, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, before I do that, I'm just going to mention it was at the hangar in Wolverhampton, as you said. The hangar is literally an aircraft hangar. It looks like it's like built like a proper hangar. It's pretty cool. And like the OTT, it was packed. There must have been about 800, 900 people there, at least.
Really?
It was like packed. The images that you might see them on the picture, the screen and stuff like that. But it was rammed. So we kicked off with so it's Man Like the Reese, Lee Hunter, and Kid Like Us. So it's kind of like a Fight Club Pro tag team, just because obviously it's in Wolverhampton, so they kind of got the fans to kind of go with the UK-based wrestlers against the draw. Which is Sammy D, Charlie Sterling, and Adam Maxted from Love Island, I believe. That's his fame from, but he's been doing pretty well on the indie scene. This was a decent matchup. Basically, because the draw isn't a team that's around in the UK, they were trying to get them salvovers as heels, and I don't think they were doing it that well. Well, Sammy D isn't really in the UK. Charlie Sterling is, and Adam Maxted rest. But like Sammy D, like he was fine when we got into the match, but it was a bit odd at the start. So Sammy D was trying to avoid fighting Man Like the Reese because obviously he was the main, like everyone was cheering for him, and Lee Hunter. Some good offense from both teams. They were trying to one-up each other. It was just Kid Like Us had a fun spot. I don't know if you've seen Kid Like Us wrestle recently, but Kid Like Us does this spot where he gets in the ring, and because he's a bit of a weasel, he basically gets on his knees and tries to kiss the wrestler's shoes, just to go like, I don't want this.
Okay.
And then he shakes the hand, and then he pokes him in the eye. He was doing that. So he did that to Sammy D, I believe. Both teams ended up having a good contest, and then what happened was the ref got bumped, and I believe it was Charlie Sterling whacked Man Like the Reese with the belt, and they ended up picking the win. So obviously the heel team picked up the win at the start of the show. We're at it 2 3/4. It was decent, but I feel like it was just a mixed match for the draw or an actual tag team, whereas the other 3 are just general random mishmash team. But it was fine. Like for an opener, it was a decent opener. And then straight after that, we had, which a match was always looking forward to, Mark Haskins, who's unbelievable, who was accompanied by Vicky Haskins. And they were facing, he was facing Warhorse, who you would have seen on AEW.
Yes.
And, he weighs from 4,000 pounds of pure metal. That's, this was more of a, like, it's weird to say in a Mark Haskins match, it was kind of like a bit of comedy. So basically what it is, Mark Haskins jumped on top of the rope, got Vicky Haskins to kiss him on the cheek, and then Warhorse beat him up for a bit and tried to get Vicky Haskins to kiss him on the cheek. And then Vicky Haskins made everyone laugh because Mark Haskins you're right, and he just kill him, and so everyone was like, he was beating the crap out of him. There was a real brutal spot. Haskins was out outside. Warhorse did a front senton through the second rope, and he hit Haskins and landed on someone in the front row. Like literally landed on a guy in the front row. Like the guy was fine, but like it was just there was so much momentum.
Yeah.
A bit back and forth at that point. Mark Haskins was working on Warhorse's legs, and in the end, Haskins was a bit too much for Warhorse, and he ended up submitting him with his sharpshooter. I keep going, I believe, looking, because I'm so used to the podcast and you've watched it, just so in case you can confirm it to me. But I rated this 3 stars. It was a very good matchup, I'll be honest. Warhorse is fun, and Mark Askins has always been great.
Nice.
Next up was the returning Millie McKenzie, which I completely forgot. I'm so used to being Millie McKenzie, I forgot she was called Amelia McKenzie in flipping WWE. And
Yeah.
she was facing Session Moth Martina. So the fans love Session Moth. Obviously, they love Millie because she's local and Suplex Millie. Session Moth came down, and there was old guys, big old guys, taking their shirts off and waving, because she was coming to a dance song which I can't remember, and they're waving their shirts in the air. Session Moth came through the crowd, danced with this one guy. And then they started wrestling, and before the bell rang, and the guy threw his shirt in the ring. So Millie threw it back at him like this, and then the other guy threw his shirt in, and they both threw him back, and it was fun. Then they did like a head-to-head spot for a bit, and then out of nowhere, DP would have loved this. Sunshine Machine out of nowhere appeared, and they were dressed like the twins from The Shining.
Yeah.
But they were wearing like croppy dresses with bloodstains on there. They're heels in OTT, it seems. I think this was their debut, but they're acting like heels. And it ended up being them versus Session Moth and Millie as a tag team. This was a decent matchup. Like the girls, they had good outside offense. Sunshine Machine is such a good tag team. Like the offense they pull together, and they ended up winning with like a jumping tombstone, which I didn't know was one of their finishes. Like it was a 3-star, rated 3-star matchups. As I said, because when I go to the shows, I don't write that much notes. I'm just trying to remember what was noteworthy from the matchups. But yeah, there was Millie was great. She was doing her usual suplexes. Session Moth just had the crowd going, and like honestly, very good matchup.
Nice.
Followed up next, we had LJ Cleary and Jay, who is Danny Cross, I believe. I'm in an awe if that is Danny Cross, because I've been looking up on Twitter and his name's got Danny Cross in there as well. This match was fine. Like, I think what affected this match, it was 2 Irish guys. If this was in Ireland, this match would have, like, the fans would have been fully into it and it would have been thing. But I think they were doing the same things they would do in Ireland and here, and the fans weren't as into it. Yeah, like they kept doing like, the clap, tried to get you back into it and slapping. I don't think the fans really were into it. There was good spots from both guys. LJ Cleary kept going for a Canadian Destroyer, but it was like a jumping Canadian Destroyer. Both guys were going for it, but the crowd kind of let this match down, and I think it's just how they set the match which caused it to be an issue. I still had it 2 3/4. Like, it was a good matchup, and the finish, the Canadian Destroyer, was beautiful. It was a bit, as I said, if it was in Ireland, I feel like the crowd would have been fully behind it. But they should probably set up the match a bit more. It should have been a spot fest, basically. We probably would have pushed it a bit more. But yeah, that was the first start. That was the first half of OTT. Honestly, it was good. There's 2 good matches and 2 above average matches, but like there was no disappointing match on this show. But then the next half, like the second half, was brilliant. So you had Subculture, which is Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, versus a team of Fabio and Martin Steers, who I've not seen before myself. This was the typical like spot fest tag team match, which I enjoyed. Like, 'cause obviously you got the athletics from both guys. Fabio and Martin Steers looked great, but they were too, like, the veterans of Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster were just a bit too far ahead of them. Like, they were just outclassing them at every offense. They got a bit of offense in, but it was more them guys. Subculture eventually did pick up the win. I rated it 3 1/4 stars. It was a very good tag team match. Like, if you get to watch it on demand, people that are watching, like this, the second half, like, is mental starting with this show. But overall, yeah, good tag team match. Next up, we had the troll that is Mad Kurt, if you know much about Mad Kurt.
Yeah, I've heard about him.
Yeah, and he was facing Gangrel. So the crowd loved Gangrel. Like, obviously, he came down to the Brood music, which was just perfect.
Nice.
He's got that Mankind walk, though. You know, like you can tell he's a bit battered. But the match was surprisingly, he was
Great.
fluid. Yeah, he was like very fluid in the match. So it started off like Mad Kurt was just taking the mick out of like the general being in Wolverhampton, then taking the mick out of Gangrel. Gangrel came down, done his usual goblet spit, which was fun to see. Then he was psyching him out because I think Mad Kurt didn't realise how big Gangrel is as a person. So Mad Kurt tried to he hopped the barrier, fell over, and started crawling away. Gangrel stayed in the ring. Mad Kurt eventually got in the ring, and it was just Gangrel battering him for half the match, chopping him, throwing about like the beals and stuff like that. Working. It was a old school wrestling style, but it worked. Because it's Gangrel. Mad Kurt got a bit on top. He had a bit of offense from him. He nearly won a couple of times, and then Gangrel just kind of overwhelmed him. And they had a really good spot at the end because Gangrel's finisher, which I never knew at this point, was the DDT. But yeah, he was doing he called for the DDT. He went for the DDT, and Mad Kurt reversed out of it. And then Gangrel stopped him reversing out of it, went for the DDT again, and then Mad Kurt swapped out of it again, and you thought actually he might actually, and then Gangrel stopped him and actually just planted him, full on planted the guy, and picked up the win. But I rated 2 3/4 stars. Like it was a bit of a comedy match with a good, good showing, but like Gangrel it's like you got to think Gangrel's been wrestling since 1980s at least, 80 or just start of 1990s. So that's 32 years at least. And the man, even though he was you can tell he's a bit battered. Like he was still when when he's wrestling, it just suddenly it disappears that he's walking around like Mankind.
He knows his limitations. That's the thing.
Which is good.
He just wrestles the match that he can wrestle.
Because you have some wrestlers,
enough of them don't.
Yeah, like some wrestlers suddenly like are battered and they're still trying to do fucking springboards. Gangrel knows he's not doing a springboard. Like I train with Gangrel at Kamikaze, which I think I discussed in one of the other shows, and he's more like he was showing judo moves and stuff like that, and he's no snug. It's unbelievable. To go in a rant, like he kept picking me to show stuff on, which but he was like, what we're gonna do is a judo flip. You know, the one where they grab the arm and throw you over. He grabbed my arm and he went, okay, so basically, as soon as I say go, I want you just to jump and I'll do everything else. And I was like, okay, he went go. And before I could jump, I was on my arse. I went, hello. And he's such a nice guy, like, and the crowd respected him, which I like veteran, like, because a lot of this crowd was, they would have seen the end of Gangrel. I don't think a lot of them would have saw prime Gangrel. And a good thing of Mad Kurt did this parade, just popped into mind. He was just saying, you know, I like the brew, but no one who cares about Gangrel. I don't know why you care about Gang. I was an Edge fan, which everyone cheered for, to be fair. Next up, we had the pivotal match, which was the heavyweight contest versus Dan Maloney versus Amari, who's the current OTT champion. Amari disappeared off the scene and suddenly is the OTT champion. Like he just disappeared, like he kind of retired for a few years. And he came back. I don't know if he lives in Ireland now, and I think that's why he's kind of but he's from Birmingham, Amari, and obviously you know Dan Maloney. This was pretty much, they had a video package that came up on the screen. It was Dan Maloney narrating it because they're best friends basically, and you could see they used to train and everything like together. And he was basically saying, you know, because Amari's fucking music's Down with the Trumpets by Rizzle Kicks, and Dan Maloney says, you know, I can be down with the trumpets, and it was kind of like stuff like that. And but the match, it was good. Like I rated 3 1/4 stars. Like it was, both guys went for it. Dan Maloney's got the heaviest chop in the world, and he's just a powerhouse. But Amari, I don't know if you've seen him wrestle at all. Amari is about 6'8". He's got to be. So like he'll put Dan Maloney on the top rope and he'll kick him, and it's still like in the back of the head, and it'll be like what, and stuff like that. And he was doing like those great offers and battering each other outside. Both guys had a few near falls. One thing I didn't like is Amari kicked out of Dan Maloney's like finisher, which is it's a pole driver, but he picks them up there and then drops them into a pole driver, which that's killing a man. If you know, so I am not a big fan of that. But Amari eventually up picking up the win. But overall, I rated 3 1/4 stars. Like both guys gave it all. It was decent contest. And then we came to the main event, which was Matt Cardona, the Deathmatch King, which is still hilarious to hear. But he is, like, he's had a few death matches. He's beat, like, Nick Gage and stuff like that and cheating and stuff. But so he was on the mic. He was basically taking the piss out because he was facing Trent Seven. So he was taking the mick out of him. You know, I'm higher rated than Pete Dunne in the PWI ratings. I'm higher rated than Tyler Bate, and you know I'm definitely higher rated than Trent Seven because he didn't even really appear. Then he was just taking the mick out of him, saying he got fired, and you know he's had the worst time. He's WXT UK got cancelled, then he got fired, and now he's back here. But then, obviously, because it's in Wolverhampton, like the crowd, as soon as Trent Seven came down, like the crowd went mental. Have you seen Trent Seven wrestle live, like
Not
in an
live,
indie show? His actual music on the indies is Seven Nation Army, but because it makes sense. But he used to come down just to that variation of it, but he's coming down to like a remix side. So basically what happens is it does a countdown which goes 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 7, and then he appears on the screen and goes, Trent fucking 7. And then it's like a proper like grimy drip version of Seven Nation Army. It was incredible. Crowd went insane. Then Trent got on the mic and basically said, you know, I'm back, and, you know, we're not just going to have any normal contest. We're going to have a Wolverhampton street fight. And then they just started battering each other absolutely, like, because Trent is obviously a big guy, as in not like he's just a bit of built guy, older guy. Trent's got hard chops. Cardona was having none of it. Cardona tried to escape. So he was trying to go up the ramp. And Trent followed him straight away, and all you could hear was the crowd going, oh, because Trent was literally following him like this, behind, just following him like this. As soon as Matt Carner came down, he chopped him. They went out the back in the crowd, and it was the usual. Everyone was trying to say, oh, don't move when that happens, because I can't be asked to follow the action. But the crowd was funny because they were going, that sounds cool. They were shouting and stuff like that. That sounds cool, you know. Something's happening, just stuff like that, like that kind of thing, and it was quite fun. Both guys got back in the ring. Cardona hit the Rough Rider and got a near fall. Trent hit a few of his moves, got a near fall. Cardona, they did the ref bump spot where the ref nearly gets knocked down. Trent moves out the way, the ref gets bumped. Cardona cheated, and I thought he genuinely picked up the win with a Rough Rider on the belt, but Trent kicked out. And then out of nowhere, the ref gets bumped again, and here comes Dan Maloney and Amari, and they batter the crap out of Matt Cardona, and then Trent hits it's basically a burning hammer on Matt Cardona and picks up the win. And that was like, obviously the crowd went off glued then at that point, because obviously Trent's like his first ever match back out of WWE, and he picks up the win. He poses with Dan Maloney and stuff like that. And then I was just leaving at this point, and I hear the Mustache Mountain song start kicking off. And out of nowhere, here comes Tyler Bate. So it must have been after they stopped recording for the on demand. So I'm guessing Tyler Bate couldn't be on there. But so it's just him, like Tyler Bate, just there to say hello and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, like, really good show. Like, the first half was fine, and the second half was a banger of a show. Like, the main event I rated 3 3/4. It was just fun.
Nice.
Both guys went for it. Matt Cardona has been great since he's been on the indies. Trent's great, and I'm happy he's back, and I'm hoping this leads to Fight Club Pro coming back, because Fight Club Pro was great. Obviously, there was a bit of stuff that happened during the speaking out movement and stuff like that. But then people are gone now, and I'm hoping Trent, because he runs Fight Club, he can kind of bring it back. But yeah, overall, great show. OTT, the first live ever show I'm ever going to see them, because obviously they're normally based in Ireland. I've seen 90% of the guys on the show before, but it was nice seeing like that Sammy D live, the Fabio and Jay and stuff like that, and just overall really fun show.
No, good. Sounds like a fun show anyway. So yeah, glad you enjoyed it. You managed to get your bus home as well. Which was,
that was because I used to go to Fight Club with and Fight Club had a tendency to start about 8, and then the main event would start at like 11:45 somehow. Because I think there used to be a nightclub, and I think they were just trying to force you to go to the nightclub because you couldn't get home. But because I now have moved, the bus was at 5 to 12, and it was the greatest thing ever.
Nice.
And to be honest, shout out to as well, there was a few people that were on this show, like Simon, the commentator, who's like he's from Wolverhampton. He's been all around the UK, but he's never actually commentated on a Wolverhampton show. So that was good for him. The ring announcer, I thought she was an OTT ring announcer, but she's not. She's just a presenter in general. She was fun. She liked a few of our tweets as well. So it pays to be nice to us. She was lovely as well. Just overall good vibes. I'd love to see it again. OTT.
No, perfect. So hopefully they do another show around you again.
Yeah.
It sounds like you said, there was a lot of people there as well. So it sounds like it could be a thing going forward if they've done well ticket sales wise. So
yeah, and I apologise to anyone that's expecting a DP kind of review. I don't do that kind of thing. I just basically say what I thought was fun, and that's it. I can't do full on. This is what happened.
Yeah. No, people have different styles of doing things, and this is what works when we do it together, and something else works when it's me and DP. So yeah, I'm sure you'll end up with a DP review at some point soon, because I know he's attended a show recently. But yeah, on that note, we will leave it right there. So check us out on Twitter at the HCW Show. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, do all the fun stuff, join the Discord. As always, talk a lot of crap, but it's good crap. So come on, we have a laugh in there as well. Feel free to join in. But yeah, that is goodbye from me.
Goodbye.
See you later, guys.
Adios.